If you would like to know how I got these two really moody Instagram shots out of this seemingly totally useless photo, keep watching. Hi guys, my name is Dieter, and a couple of days ago I was out on a really misty, cold winter's day. I was carrying my camera and I snapped this shot from across the road. These really dark and moody forests looked really promising when I was watching them from afar. Then when I got home, I opened up the image and to me it looked totally useless. Well, I felt optimistic, so I went poking around and I ended up with these two very moody Instagram shots. So I think whatever the image is, usually there's something to salvage. So let's have a closer look at this one today and see what we can do. I'm going to be using Capture One, but you can use these techniques in any photo editing software that you might have, whether that be Adobe Lightroom or free options like Darktable. Well, let's get stuck in. Looking at this image, we have a lot of clutter. The foreground is totally messing it up. It seems like we have so little to work with. And I think the interesting parts here are in the detail in the forest. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop. And to crop, I'm going to use the Instagram format, which is 180 by 1350, which is 4:5, I think. That must be correct. So in order to get something interesting, I'm going to need to crop quite close here. What I'm trying to look for here when I'm using the grid is I'm trying to get this bunch of trees here as a center of attention, and then I'm trying to divide roughly between, let's just say, 1/3 of brighter image, like the top of the image, and then 1/3 of like some of the darker parts. So I'm working with layered here, 1, 2, 3 dark layers, and then with this popping out to me, I think that would seem quite interesting. Let's just crop in on that. And you might notice I have the background set to white. And this is because it just helps me focus much more on what is actually bright and dark in this image. Moving on to the exposure tabs, I'm looking through the ICC profiles here, so which is my X-T4, Fujifilm X-T4, and then the curves here, auto, it's not really doing it for me. So I'm kind of like flipping through the possible film simulations that I have going on here and trying to see what catches my eye. And to be honest, look at this Eterna bleach bypass. Look how, oh, that looks so nice. I never use bleach bypass on any photo. Let's give it a try today. So the thing that I like about this image is how misty and moody it is. And let's not try to get it too sharp, because that's just going to make it look tacky. I'm not really going to touch the exposure here, but what I will do is I am going to, let's just say, let's bring back the blacks a little bit. Bring back the shadows a little bit like this. And this is making the trees a lot darker, which is creating a bigger contrast within the image. But I don't want to push it too far because I want to keep it rather soft and foggy. If I'm touching the highlights here, no, I'm just going to put those back. I'm going to keep those highlights nice and soft and keep it nice and moody. Same thing here. I'm not really going to touch much else of this because I think the next step that I can do, I'm quite happy with, the luminosity of this image will be part of the color. So I think it looks nice with the bluish, tealish kind of thing, but I think I can do better. And I'm going to try and go for a color contrast here. So when you look at the color balance tab, and we go to shadow, midtones, and highlights. Let's just say the highlights. I want these to look more ominous, foresty. So let's just move like the saturation somewhere to a high halfway point. Sorry, I forgot to English there for a second. And then when moving it around the color wheel, I'm just trying to see what feels nice to me here. And actually, the thing that caught my eye is more up here. Yeah, that's more like it. Here, these moody greens. That's cool. That's like dark, poisonous forest. Now, the next thing I can do is to create a color contrast, is to go to the opposite side of the color wheel and then inject that tone into my shadow. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, let's say somewhat like this. It's quite a lot. And you can see the shadows, they get purpley compared to, you know, here where they're just black. Maybe not that much. And this, let's just up the saturation a little bit, is now creating a really nice color contrast between the greenish in the highlights and then the purple in the shadow. So if you look at, you know, before and after, we've already come a really, really long way from, you know, the original, I don't know what this is, blue from the original image. I'm already quite happy with this, but we could do a little bit more. Let's not work too long on this image. I think it needs a bit of grain. This is like too sharp. So I'm going to go to the details tab, and you can add grain in any type of software. Just going to raise the impact a little bit. I'm watching this on a 4K monitor, so if you're watching this on your phone, you might not see it. But yeah, I'm giving it quite a bit of grain, not like too much. Like this is too much. It just looks like you have a really low quality photo. But if there's no grain, it just looks, I don't know, kind of flattish. But then adding like on my screen about, let's say 22, 25-ish amount of grain is really, it's giving it some grit. And I like this grit. So let's just go between the different types of grain here. Cubic grain. Yeah, I like this cubic grain, but this is not quite a lot. So I'm going to tone it down a little bit. And this is something I'm quite happy with. One more thing though, is I want to put the focus more on this bunch of trees here in the center. I mean, I could export it like this and be perfectly happy, but I'm just going to go back to where I can use the layers in Capture One. You don't have layers in most other softwares, but I'm going to use a circular mask. So I'm just going to draw the mask on the photo here, get it center over what I think is the most important subject. I'm going to hit M in Capture One lets me watch the subject like this. Yeah, a little bit like that. And now when I hit M again, it hides the mask, because what I want to do with it is basically lower the exposure. So I'm creating a kind of vignette, but like a manual vignette. So if I touch it too much, it becomes just unrealistic. But if I reset it here and I just take it down just a little bit, see how that focuses the image? Yes, that is what I'm looking for. So now again, if I look at what I started with and what I get to here, that is beautiful. So we can just export that one and that's good to go. But I bet we can get more out of this image. So I'm just going to reset my crop here. And I'm going to move my crop around to see if I can find any other cool compositions. I mean, this could be something, but obviously look at this lone tree out here. That is just perfect. Might even make it a little bit smaller, the crop a little bit smaller, so this tree is more prominent in the image. Yeah, something like that. Let's crop it. I mean, that is cool, but we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to remove the mask that I put over the other crop. I'm going to draw a new one. Yeah, something like this. Nicely center the subject. Let's have a look at the mask here. Cool. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring the exposure down ever so slightly, but here it seems to have like a more prominent effect. Nah, I think that's cool. So let's look at the before and after. completely washed out, way too blue, super moody with the subject in focus. And that is that. So, a simple matter of cropping, adding some color contrast, adding a little bit of grit, and then focusing in on the subject with a gradient mask. And I've just gotten 2 really cool photos, really moody shots that would be very happy to upload on any given day out of this thing, which looked absolutely hopeless when I first opened it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you end up making any photos like this, feel free to let me know. You can follow me on Instagram, see what I make. And if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a subscribe, because I'm hoping to get to 1,000 followers at some point this year. See you on the next one.